Hello, this is Esabu and Unity of Command 2 Barbarossa DLC Pskov mission on hard. 3, 2, 1, and let's look at Pskov. Actually, if you have noticed, I actually have a Pskov playthrough on Classic. I'm not gonna remove that video, but to be honest, the mission isn't too different. The playthrough on hard isn't too different, but there are a couple of things actually that changed for me. Obviously, as we know, the enemy gets a combat bonus on hard, and one of the things that I realized, I found out about this mission is that the last objective, i.e. Kingisepp, which we don't see currently, but it's far to the north, not very far from Leningrad eventually, becomes really hard. I remember that on Classic it was never an issue, so it was always the problem of taking a Pochka or Opichka on time, or maybe Pskov on time. But like, once you're done with everything else, like getting to Kingisepp is a no-brainer. It's like just smooth riding, and you don't have to worry about it. And I don't know if it's the change in the difficulty of the mission, right? So maybe the AI does something differently on hard, or maybe it's something that the developers actually have changed since the release of the game, because I think I played Pskov on Classic around, well, basically when the game was coming out, and maybe it has been updated in the patches. I don't know. So, but the problem is that the AI is much better. I found when playing it on hard, I found the AI to be much more effective at barring my access to Kingisepp, actually. And so pretty much like when I tried, because I already, if you don't know, so if you haven't seen my previous video about Pskov and my cracking video about that part of the DLC, essentially, like, Pskov was one of the missions that was like, it took me half a day to actually crack it, right? So it was very frustrating, and I it really took me about 4 hours, and I'd say like the first hour was when I generally figured out the general layouts, like kind of probed the map and knew what had to be done, but like, and spent like the remaining 3 hours like figuring out all of the details. And so the thing is that, yes, when I went to and tried to play it on hard, I did everything right. As you can see, I'm moving to like past Rezekne, towards Ostrov and Apochka, and not like leaving any troops around like those tiny Soviet pockets, because they're passive. They're not gonna do anything. I'm gonna destroy them later just for experience. And yeah, like protecting my supply hub, like that, like next to the bridge, is like critical. So it's will very likely block it if they can, or even take it, even occupy that hex. Obviously, one of the requirements is to send that. Okay, come on, give us the new turn. So send that tank division towards Valga right from the start. It's incredibly important for taking Perno on time. And so, and the thing is, I did everything right, and I actually, yeah, so the game rewarded me for it, so I didn't have any problems taking all of the objectives, except for Kingisepp, whereas previously, the Soviets, the AI, actually never kind of protected that route, the area between Kingisepp and Pskov. It was never seriously protected by the Soviets. On hard, I found it like, yeah, okay, so they're leaving a couple of their divisions, like, in that area. And it's not, as you can see right now, it's not an easy area, right? So you've got, like, marshes, you've got forests, pretty much your normal Army Group North kind of fodder, right? So, like, that's what you generally get in the north. And so, yeah, you can't expect very easy battles there. So you really need the way to be clear in that area for you to be able to actually take Kingisepp on time, which is like, okay, turn 8 seems to be a lot of time, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not comfortably enough. So my approach, and one thing that I had to, it took me some time actually to finish this mission on hard, exactly because of Kingisepp, even though I knew how to generally play this mission. And one of the things that you need to keep in mind, and you already see that I've taken Ostrov on turn 3, even though the deadline is turn 4. I still remember it, even though actually this playthrough is from like a couple of weeks ago. Damn everything else, but you really need to advance towards Ostrov and Pskov as quickly as possible. Don't wait for those deadlines. Like, Ostrov is turn 4, I think Pskov was turn 6. Don't wait for them. If you can take those towns earlier, do it. Because you might get into trouble reaching Kingisepp, because all the Soviets somehow have got smarter, and now can, well, do that stuff better and protect that objective better and can block you and prevent you from, well, getting the most out of this mission, right? So, yes, absolutely, Ostrov and Pskov must fall as quickly as possible, and you'll see that I'll even, like, engage when clearly disadvantageous combat that results in losses, like, by design results in losses, just in order for me to succeed in that part of the map. Elsewhere, I'm doing really well. So, in Cesisk and Riga, I've already taken Cesisk, so it's a no-brainer. So I've got very well-equipped infantry divisions, and the Soviets just keep retreating. They're out of supply. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to take Valga. You can destroy that bridge next to Tartu and completely destroy the Soviet supply lines in the west of the map. So these guys are running out of supply next turn. They're not going to be able to fight at all, like shoot back at all. And so it's my turn to destroy Parno. Well, not destroy it, just take it. Obviously, the Estonian partisans are extremely useful here. The other ones next to Tartu, I found them to be a nice addition, but they're really not necessary. At Parno, you really need those guys, because quite often the Soviet mechanized divisions, motorized division, whatever, it will not retreat, like, from your tanks attacking the town. So sometimes it's nice to have that additional firepower. Sometimes it's nice to have a unit that still has movement points so that it can actually take the town. Right, so right now, in the west of the map, really I'm doing stuff that generally more like defensive than offensive. I'm just clearing the area so that they don't block my supply lines, which they've done, and now I'm destroying the pockets. As you've seen, they're completely passive. They're not trying to, screw with anything, even though they could have. I don't know why they're so passive, but they're not doing anything. So, like, be comfortable about them and just move your infantry so that it can do as much damage as it can, even because, like, the distances are big, great, and, yeah, you don't have too much time to move your infantry close to business. In Napochka, actually, one of the things you can do is exploit the stupidity of the AI sometimes. Like, generally, the AI is reasonably nasty, but one of the things it does, and I found that it generally does it if you advance, like, along the railway, very far along the railway towards Napochka, is that it destroys that road bridge leading from the railway towards Napochka from the south. As you can see, it's destroyed, but it's not originally it wasn't originally destroyed. It's normally fed. That supply hub, the Soviet supply hub in Napochka, is usually it's just fed via that road, right? So, and the Soviets, sometimes the AI sees that you're advancing and it kind of expects you to maybe use that bridge and get close to Rapochka, but the thing is that it shoots itself in the foot, and just, yeah, like, cuts its own supply. By the way, Pskov is mine on turn 5 out of 6, and by the way, you've just noticed that I mentioned, like, maybe disadvantageous combat. I attacked a Soviet division, a Soviet infantry division, with my motorized division, and it was clearly a bad battle, right? Sustained losses, and motorized divisions on that and really serious and powerful stuff on hard. Really, they're pretty weak. I kind of hate them on hard, and like on easier difficulty, they are really like almost tanks, right? So on hard, no, and so like on hard, they're kind of expensive infantry and trucks, right? So and there, in that area around Pskov, my decision was to deal as much damage to that infantry division so that when it does what it did right now, so it has done right now, so just blocked my supply line, it would not be very difficult for me to actually dislodge them and get rid of them, right? So they're, right, weaker than they could have been, right? So, and it's totally worth it. I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. Obviously, I would have been even happier had they not blocked my supply line, but generally in that area, it's rather difficult, and you really need to push and push and push. So sometimes you need to get careless a little bit. And thankfully, these guys are completely out of supply. Pskov is mine, obviously. Like, the AI has shot itself in the foot and generally does that. It generally does that, so exploit it as hard as you can. Even though I found the Pskov not to be that difficult of an objective, once you know what you're doing, once you have enough infantry, or sometimes I use tanks, even though it's generally more difficult on hard. And as you can see, I'm very successful in advancing towards Gingisep. The Soviets don't have anything there. And I am actually, like, using these to both of these tank divisions there just as a kind of an insurance, right? So just to make sure, because I didn't know, obviously I didn't see into the fog of war at that time. So I was trying to kind of make sure that I am able to take Gingisep, even though like when I was playing this mission and trying to actually complete it, actually there were a couple of playthroughs where I just made mistakes in the combats near Gingisep and failed to take the objectives on time, which is not the case in this case. Right, and so Tartu is not going to be too big of a problem, so the Soviet tank division there is out of supply, already suppressed and retreating. So the objective is mine. The Soviets are largely destroyed and routed, and well, this is it for this mission. So I've completed everything on turn, actually 7, not even 8. So this is it for today. Thank you for listening and watching, and until tomorrow.